against other actors with a big influence. And the next Inga Turi is the next lecturer. She had her PhD at and governance of reindeer herding and here in West Finnmark, and Jamal in West Siberia. We have two different ways of thinking and understand reindeer herding, and she will now especially, and she also been especially this the asymmetry, the power relationship in the systems, and will focus with this reindeer herding and grazing land. So I think we'll give the word to you. Welcome, Inga.
I think you can hear me now. Hello, everyone. Yesterday was a very good day to get to know people I didn't know before and hear about your work and the discussions. I'm Niilas Inga, Unisa, Juha-Matti Inga. I'm from here, from Kotikeno. I grew up in reindeer herding. As Svante mentioned, I've been working together with the people in this Real-Time project when you worked in the ELAT project. ELAT project, by that I made my doctoral degree. It's been very good to get along in the Real-Time project by my postdoc work. It's been a very good. It's very good to continue to work with these. Today, I would like to talk about the results of the work that a group has worked with. The chapter isn't in this book that was published yesterday. It's coming in the next book. I can't share it with the text with you yet. We might make some minor changes. But what I'd like to do, look at the main results. As you see, we are many people here involved in this work. It's me. It's Marina Tonkonpeva. She's been a good help to clean up our ideas. Svein Mathisen, Inga Maria, Anders Oskal, Robert Correll. He's not here in the room, but he's sending greetings. Julia Lutz, she's a meteorologist, and she works with meteorological data, and Nancy Maynard. I have written about the starting point, our purpose with this. We started with the intention to look how administrative borders affect reindeer herding. Are they hindered? We looked especially, are they a hinder for adaptation for reindeer herding, nomadic reindeer herding, or does they constrain it? We have a theoretical starting point. Is the knowledge, traditional knowledge in reindeer herding, and we have read a lot about adaptation, nomadism adaptation, and our methods. Then it's been very broad. interdisciplinary approach. Each scientist have a different background, both in nature and society. And of course, reindeer herders' traditional knowledge is one important part. But we also have help from meteorology scientists have helped us. We made an empiric focus on the winterlands of West Finnmark. And this we did because we found examples that could be helping us to explain how administrative borders affect reindeer herding. So we looked for data from different ways. We made interviews. We have read analyzed administrative documents and scientists, and of course we have also analyzed climate and snow data. This image tells a lot about our the main result. In this map we have broadly made the winterland areas on the map. It's borders between the Sida groups that are using these winterland. These borders were determined by the fylkesman in 18. To get there is a very cumbersome way. We're not sure that about the final result. You can say that we might end up to this mapping and border. It started a long time ago. In the Reindeer Herding Act from 2007, it started. As then, in the reindeer herding law stated then that this will lift self-determination among the reindeer herders, and the responsibility for the reindeer herding will be bigger internally between the reindeer herding groups. And there was a process connected to that the district should administrate the using laws of use, and they should explain how winterlands are used throughout the year, where, when, and how many reindeer one district can have, how the maximum number of reindeer. That should be shown day when the Sidas arrive to this land and when they have to leave the land. It was expected that these regulations would be it would be based on traditional use. I'm not sure what the intention was, but that's the way it is written in the documents. In West Finnmark, the three reindeer districts in West Finnmark, two of them really early say we can't formulate these regulations. It's not really possible because the Sida groups, the land rights are not determined. The borders for the land rights are not determined, they said. There was a process, and finally the decision was it's up to the fylkeman who has to help the districts to create these regulations. I was just look for the report from the fylkeman. he made and accepted these borders 12th of December 2018. He writes that we have not been able to, we haven't been able to look at the rights of each group because it is not, we don't have the knowledge to do that. It wasn't our purpose. It's almost, we are only looking, he wrote, at the administrative borders between the CEDA groups. He said his starting point was from the main pattern how CEDA groups and districts have used the land 10-15 years. And because it's been in use so long, we are pretty sure that that these borders are functional in reindeer herding, like the way it is now. Fylkesman also writes that they have had a close dialogue with the CEDA districts, and how when the district themselves can't put up the borders, or then we have to do that. So what are the consequences of this? What is the base for the adaptation of reindeer in reindeer herding is grazing flexibility. The flexibility, how you manage and use the land. That's a basic concept in Sami traditional knowledge, and the traditional knowledge, and this is also adaptation to climate change. Inga Eira has in 2018 wrote an article about where she talks about 5 different strategies that reindeer herders use. Both when the grazing conditions are bad, when they're scabby, and they are trying to lose so little reindeer as possible. First of all, it is to let the herd free, let them spread out. You don't graze them so tight together. And so each reindeer can find food itself where it is to be found. To strengthen the internal mobility, that the reindeer herders must graze more, as to say, they must be more mobile. And to start the migration to the summer land, to spring lands, or feed the reindeer. And finally, the fifth is to change the structure of the reindeer herd, because there's a structure of the herd has effects on the condition of the herd. So to let the herd free and that they are more flexible, and use the land with more flexibility is a very common strategy in reindeer herding that you can see in bad winters way back when the first from 1900 I read about the really bad catastrophic grazing year. So they let the herd free and made sure that they don't lose so much reindeer. This border making, it constrains the flexibility of grazing because the border drawing is only an administrative thing. It doesn't give any rights, or there are only borders, administrative borders. But the cedar can have to pay fines, be fined if they cross the borders. There are dates when you are to be inside this border, the herd, and there are also application processes. And what shows that these borders were constraining the reindeer very quickly. They saw it 2 months after they were adopted. So there were two complaints to the reindeer herding administration. The cedar groups wanted to cross the border in different dates. What we also observed is when this grazing flexibility gets smaller, the consequence is that they use other adaptation strategy, for instance, feeding the reindeer. When we started this work some years ago, the bad years, we didn't have those bad years as we had recently. We were a bit worried when these borders are written or drawn. It might the consequence can be that you need to feed more when you are to remain inside the borders. These two bad years, recent bad years, has shown that feeding is an adaptation strategy that we must use. And the consequence when you make this way of this borders system on the land, it forces the cedar groups to feed the reindeer to stay inside the borders. I see I'm running out of time. So I talk about the concluding remarks. As we mentioned, the administrative border, they affect grazing flexibility, and they also cause forced adaptation and in the cedar group, and they also increases the level of conflicts between the cedar groups. Since we know that the climate change are coming more and more, and they're becoming more and more strong in the future. So it's really for a long time the effects will be very negative for the reindeer herding. The only thing left is to say thank you.
Min juuritihkalas pototaalo juuritihkalas johtadin sen puolespohtin Eirik Brenneri. Eirik Brennelle tälle parakan huimankajakidina fuusenashin mili alimusreftis me si batjul jakiäikeli alimusreftis ja tuomo bodi kolkomanu kohtalogi johtas. No, ja Maille eirikan deuske maankajakin johtusparkan just tein nasin, kun mun parakan protect saami